The second part of Luang Pu's reflection on his birthday, the 2nd of February 2023. Luang Pu mentioned about the Dhamma that he recorded during the time that he was practiced in the forest. All Dhamma recordings have background music and started with humorous saying like, "Hello, where is this place? Where am I?" Then he will give the answer that this is the cave of the Great Toad, or the Great Toad Cave Temple at Liang San Mountain, the second episode. And the voice that you are now hearing is the voice of the hero who shakes the world and owns the style of the paintbrush that has no residence in the heaven called Pu Eng2, or you can call him the lotus above water Lama. The word Lama means monks in Tibetan language, or you can call him the Dr. Physics grandfather. Now he will present the poems or verses for life, which he gave the topic as the world that is not bruised and the Dhamma that is not clouded or gloomy. Then he explained or elaborated that what he meant by the world that is not bruised. So he meant that if we can transcend above or beyond the world or the worldly way, the world will not get hurt or have bruised. Then he continued saying names of all the caves that he had visited, and then he landed on Mars. He explained that even his physical body was in the cave. However, his mind could go as far as Mars, which is one of the stars in our galaxy. It was easy for him to travel around in his astral body. So he has visited all and he had seen all. And because he had been everywhere and seen everything, there is no need for anyone to ask him to join them to visit countries like Tibet or some other countries. It will be a waste of time. And then he made a joke that when he went to India, he didn't get to eat roti, which is like Indian pancake. It means that he went in his astral body, not physical body, so he cannot eat the food. So 30 or 40 years ago, he was practiced meditative absorption, meditation and vipassana very, very hard. We can say that it was heavy and serious practices. When the North Star Sergeant monk, which the name that he called himself, was practiced in the forest, he have came across or have met many the forest and also in other dimension. The great gurus or great monks that had attained the supernatural power. And he gave one name. The name of this great master is หลวงปู่เทพโลกอุดร who was there to give him support, help him to find food, and also support him in the spiritual learning. If you are Thai and you know all the names of great masters in Thai Buddhism history, หลวงปู่ had met those great masters and they had taught and supported หลวงปู่ in some ways. Without the support from all the great masters, legendary masters, หลวงปู่ cannot be where he is today. So he would like to confirm that when he was at younger age, he was practicing very hard and serious. So the stories told by หลวงปู่ are true stories that he has direct experience. Even nowadays, หลวงปู่ doesn't wear a full monk uniform. He just wear casual. But when he enter some temples, some monks, they knew inside their hearts and they show respect to หลวงปู่ So หลวงปู่ said the meritful retribution or the result of his difficult practice in the past still result in him until these days. The spiritual attainment that he had gained still remains in this physical body. When he had conversation with monks that knows, they treated him with high respect and was very humble when talking to หลวงปู่ unlike common people or villagers that don't know what is what. They didn't have any insight and they just treated him normally. The reason he is sharing with us all this is to show you that the anupap or the mighty force of the result of Dhamma practice has great value. So he shared these things to his followers and students, his descendants, the true and impressive stories. He left the thing that is not important and not impressive without sharing, but he only shared the true stories that gave him memorable impressions. He said, if you want to know more of the essence of Dhamma, he already recorded them, so you can find these recordings in YouTube or CDs. He had recorded the Dhamma that came to him when he was alone and relaxed in the cave. He felt so much at ease because he was alone, and some words of Dharma that came to him were as old as over 100 years old, and he could still reflect on those words and able to share it in the recordings. Some found that his recordings similar to the teaching of Milarepa. So this is Manning's suggestion. If you are foreigners and only know English, you can find the recordings of the songs of Milarepa. So he said how he can remember the essence in the songs of Milarepa because his past life, Milarepa was him. So the songs of Milarepa was not stolen by Luang Pu. It was belonged to Luang Pu from the past. So that was why he can recall the essence in the songs of Milarepa without have to read or study from any textbook. The truth has mighty power. Without Dhamma practice and special insight, you cannot recall or reflect the truth. It is impossible for those who stuck with living normally, living without practicing Dhamma practice. He said when you set to give out Dhamma or doing any meritful activities, you don't have to raise funds and ask around for support. The universe will supply you with resources for you to be able to accomplish the determination to give out the light of Dhamma. Like when Luang Pu wanted to record this Dhamma, he was thinking that it would be nice if I have a tape recorder and some music to play it in the background. Then somehow he just got offered with what he was thinking that he wanted to have to make his work in sharing Dhamma possible. So Luang Pu recited a poem that he had wrote some time ago. I live in the midst of dusty defilement and muddy ground, but both my leaves and flowers are still floating above the water and able to welcome the light. He said he wrote so many verses and poems, but because the memory is impermanent, so he can only remember some and forgotten some. Then he recited another poem. Late at night, the sound is still clear. Crickets and insects are still chirping. Friendship for each other is still here. Though it's been a long time, but joy still remains. The days may pass, the times may be long. It's like a passing dream. The long period of time seems short. When the sweet days are in the heart, even the soil had left the mountain, but counting down the days to return. Though today the physical is far apart, but sending the heart to the mountain, from soil to mountain. He laughed and teased himself that, oh, Luang Pu, let's slow down. Wait until you have some shots of spirit drinks tonight, then you can continue. So he told the audience that during the day before the party start tonight, you may spend a relaxful day, find peace for yourself, walk in the nature, and rest well. So let's take a break and have lunch. Find a nice place to sit and relax in quietness and peaceful setting. He gave thanks to everyone who came to wish him happy birthday. He was born on the 2nd of February 1950, which was the full moon day on the third lunar month on lunar calendar. And the full moon day on the third lunar month in Buddhist culture is Maka Busha, is the very important Buddhist holy day. The exact birth time for Luang Pu is at 7 p.m. Then he asked Manning, how old am I now? So I said, you are turning to 74. So he is exactly 73 on that day. If he didn't get ordained and became monk in this life, he might already be condemned to hell. Now, because the meritful retribution of having been ordained as monk, he can transcend from hell now. He got excited that he might have fell in hell because his character is quite extraordinary. He mentioned the time that he was a monk in China. They call him a mad monk. They chased him away from the temple that he resided in. The only possessions that he had were only a hat, a fan, hand fan, and a bottle gourd that used for keeping the drinks inside. So he wandered all over the place when he was a mad monk, and if anyone want help and support from him or want him to help them with his supernatural power, they have to add some spirits or some drinks into his bottle gourd. The monk body in China at the time, they didn't like him because he was extraordinary. He can perform some supernatural phenomena to help people who were in need. The mad monk or Arahant Jigong can help all walk of life, all people in different classes, from the village to the palace. If anyone need help because they are in suffering and difficulties, he can help them all. However, when one use a lot of energy in helping others, one will have a shorter lifespan. So Jigong died at a very young age. He passed away at the age of 45. When he incarnated in Tibet, he was this great yogi called Milarepa, and Milarepa practiced in the sect of Red Hat Buddhism. The Vajrayana Buddhism has 3 different sects. One is the Yellow Lama that study only the theory, like the pure Dhamma knowledge, and the Black Lama focusing on construction, doing construction and physical works, and the Red Hat Lama practice in the forest and meditate as yogi. He practiced in the forest until he got offered from his follower diamond earrings. He had to learn how to survive in the snow forest. For example, he have to eat the meat of dead frozen deer that was buried under the snow. So the culture and way of living of the Dhamma practitioners in the old days was very hard, very difficult. Luang Pu had experienced the life difficulties in many of his past life, so he considered this life is a very comfortable life, easy life. People nowadays, they live in comfort. They can eat whatever they want to eat. However, if the Dhamma practitioners stuck with comfort, they will have to be born and reborn into the samsara endlessly. So before he incarnate into this world, this time, he came to be born in Thailand, and he wished not to have a so difficult life like before. He wished not to be trapped or limited in a fixed form. So now he is in the form that is free from belonging to any special sect of Buddhism. He is not monk in Vajrayana sect. He is not monk in Mahayana. He is not monk in Theravada, because he has a mission to unite or harmonize them to be one Buddhism. With this multicolor robe that he is wearing, he have the freedoms to blend in any sect of Buddhism. Again, he said that his outstanding character is not like a preacher or a saint. He is excel in meditative absorption. Other monks may not have the same expertise like him. However, he will not use a lot of his special ability or the mind strength to help as much as how he have helped others in his past lives, because he will die too soon before he can complete his mission. He has to nourish his health because he has to complete the mission of uniting all sects of Buddhism. His spiritual attainment or the Dharma awakening that he has now will save him from returning back to the worldly way. หลวงปู่ said the belief of Theravada sect of Buddhism, the teacher need to be enlightened before they can teach. So the Dhamma teachings nowadays, mostly they are just like common principle of the Dhamma. It's not Lokuttara Dhamma or transcendental Dhamma or the Dhamma that is beyond the worldly level. It is not from the noble one or the enlightened one. So the teacher that have not yet enlightened can teach only the common principle of Dhamma, because at the Lord Buddha's time, he allowed the first 5 disciples to share their teachings after their enlightenment. The present time is already over 2,000 years after the Buddha's passing. So the unenlightened ones can only teach the normal Dhamma or Lokiya Dhamma, conventional truth or the worldly Dhamma. However, หลวงปู่ ways is the way that uniting all walk of life, all beings in the world to have one truth, one Buddhism, and encourage them to live in peace and harmony. Because หลวงปู่ was a warrior and fought in the battlefields for 8 years, and he has experienced enormous amount of loss of life and possession and everything. He had a very heavy sadness and agony. When he was practiced in the cave in the forest, his tear would just came down his eyes every day. He felt sympathy. He felt sorry for the loss of the people that resulted from the war, from fighting, battling, killings in the battlefield. With this experience that he had, he became a monk or the ordained person that is stable and firm on this spiritual path with true renunciation, and became a true monk. The experience he had during the wartime made him grieve or feel sorrow. He said that the war or the World War III has already begun. However, they are not yet officially announced. It has already started in Europe. He said to Manning to send his words to Dr. Huang that he always thought of her and send her protection from all dangers, from all harm, from all suffering. He prayed for her success in uniting all sects of Buddhism to become one. We are facing world disaster. The melting iceberg in the North Pole and South Pole make the polar bear have no food, nothing to eat, so they have to come into human shelter to find food. There will be more serious disease happening, more serious than the COVID-19 virus, because other dangerous virus that we have never met before will come with the global warming and the melting iceberg. Dangerous viruses will be back alive again after they had been buried in the iceberg for millions of years. Nothing can stop this disaster from happening to our world. Humans will get into fighting, battling, killing, and human created danger for human race because of their own doing. They use fossil or petroleum to create energy for humans, but it destroys the environment. Humans wanting convenience for themselves, but at the same time destroying themselves. They take and take from the nature for themselves, their own benefit, and for their own nations. They will not yield to one another, so the world war will definitely happening. All of them thinks that they are strong, they are like a tiger, so when the fierce and strong beast or animal together, they will get into fights. So what will happen when these powerful animals getting into the fight? All other beings will face suffering and the effect from their fightings. The result of the Indo-China War had created a great loss. All the countries in these Southeast Asian countries like Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, they have lost many lives during that war. However, Thailand was saved from that Indo-China war. Luang Pu said he must have a good karmic payback or karmic retribution from past life that make him turn to take the spiritual path and became a monk right after he came back from the war. Though he had a lot of money, that they gave him as a reward from joining in the battle, but he gave all the money away. He made offerings as dana and just escaped into the forest and became a forest monk. And then he made a joke that the reason he have to practice Dhamma in the forest because he cannot be in town or in the cities because he's still very good looking with masculine body build, so it might make girls or ladies following him, and he cannot have peace in practicing Dhamma. He laughed and said, "This is true, this is true. I was handsome when I was a young monk." When I translated this part to Vietnamese ladies who were listening to him that day, they all said, "No, you are still handsome and you are still young. And this is true, you're still handsome." So it was just like a happy moment that we laughed together. So he said, "If I was still at young age, you will be falling for me." And Hung Le said, "I still fall for you, even that you are not that young anymore." So there was a crack out of laughter amongst the audience. Luang Pu said he has to escape into the forest and mountain because he sees that the world is full of danger and sufferings. When he was wander in the forest, he walked through mountains like the mountain range called Ban That, and he went around to neighboring countries such as Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and Malaysia. And then he shared another funny story when he was begging for food from the Hill tribe people. He found out that the girls in those villages don't wear underwear. Then he laughed out loud. He said to survive in the forest, he used a lot of what he learned from the time that he was at war. When he was a soldier, he had to learn how to survive in forest and on mountain locations. Though fighting in the war is very hard, very difficult, but to fight with the war of defilement happens from seeing the skeletons or the form of the ladies was harder for him because man has fixation to the form of the opposite sex. So when he was in his second years of being a monk, he saw the Hill tribe girl not wearing a uniform. She sat quite open. So he was defeated and he had to work very hard or fought very seriously with The defilement happens from seeing the form of the opposite sex. We must have cleverness and wisdom, and upholding or following the principle of Dhamma well to be able to conquer this wall of falling for the worldly arousement or falling for the defilements happening from seeing or having contact with the opposite sex, so that we don't have to suffer again if we have to be born or reborn into life in the uncountable lifetimes in the future. When Luang Pu was practicing alone in the forest, he had met many gurus that came to give him teaching, sometimes in his dream, sometimes in his vision when he was in deep meditative absorption, and sometimes came in physical form. They are great gurus that would come to those who are seriously practicing and following Dhamma. If you want to be great, you cannot be easily hurt or moved by the taste from the teachers. Sometimes great gurus give you a very serious and difficult test for you to break through and step over, or obstacles. There are various ways and various approaches that the great sage or great teachers will test you to see if you will be able to pass the test or not. Sometimes one word have two different meanings. It has like denotation and connotation meanings to the word. It depends on you how you can interpret Dhamma to make the most benefit for yourself. Now Luang Pu is at old age. He cannot take us to practice in solitude up the mountain in the forest like before. So, however, you should contemplate on his words of wisdom that he is sharing with us. Luang Pu has the art and the science that can be shared. At the end of the session, Luang Pu made us laugh again because we were sitting quietly and seriously trying to like be polite and listen well to him. He just said, "I am old and I'm not handsome." So some of the audience who know Thai, they right away saying, "No, you are handsome." "No, you're still young. You are young at heart." And then he smiled because he was like fishing for compliment. So we all laugh. So again he said, "Even that I am old and not handsome, and now I'm very tired, but I'm very happy to see you all." He said that the best uniform is the uniform of the ordained persons. He always missed the time that he was wearing the monk uniform. However, he is glad that he is not wearing the monk uniform anymore. Otherwise, the world will expect too much from him. They might want to raise him to a high monk position, and then he has to have a lot of responsibilities, which is not the thing that he wants to do. He only wants us to follow Dhamma, not to have authority and power and other responsibilities that is not giving and sharing Dhamma. He doesn't want to have luck, money, fame, position, or any other worldly attainment. It is so not his way. Then he say, all is past, let it all pass.